Hi everyone. I'm honored to do this post for South Asian Heritage Month. My name is Osman Yousefzada. I'm an artist and a writer, and I work across different mediums. I write, so I work in words, I work in textiles and ceramics, and I make sculptures, and I create installations to tell our stories. I like the word South Asian. It gives us a sense of solidarity. It reminds me of when my parents arrived to these shores and the stories I heard from them. They said when they saw each other, no matter where they had come from either India, Pakistan, or Bangladesh, they would cross the street and say hello to each other, asking each other how they were and where they'd come from, and sometimes even inviting total strangers into their homes. My work is about capturing these stories of the first generation. I've written a book called The Go-Between. It's really about the hidden and unrecorded stories, predominantly of first generation women. Both my parents couldn't read or write, and they would all ask us to read the letters that were posted in their name. Imagine how they saw the world coming from a largely rural land, and in my case they ended up in industrial Birmingham. But before then, my grandfather had visited these shores much earlier. In 1915, he was a Lashkar. A Lashkar is, we all know it's a sailor for the British Merchant Navy. But he was killed by the Japanese in World War II. So that's why our stories are really important. If we don't record our stories, our roots to roots, which is this year's theme for South Asian Heritage Month, we have no shoulders to stand upon. We need to remember their resilience, their hard work, how they travelled across seas to take root in lands that were hostile to them. There are so many stories. In particular, I remember one of one of my uncles who was not allowed to use the toilets. Him and other workers from South Asia, they couldn't use the toilets inside the factory floor. That was for white people. Or how the skinheads would beat them up if they found them alone. So they would move around in groups. They built their lives against all odds, and hence gave us opportunities as we move into the next generation. It's a power that we have collectively, the empathy and care that we create for each other. Our hearts need to become bigger to connect to our global humanities. If we're making space for ourselves, we need to make space for others. We can only be what we can see, and the more we open doors for each other, the more layers we show of ourselves to each other. It creates new perspectives. And the more supportive spaces we make for each other allows us to expand what we can imagine for each other. Because when we all belong, we can all begin. I'm just going to finish with a little reading from my book, The Go-Between. It's very topical for this year's theme. It's about roots, and also it's about wild roses. This colour that brought in was like that of an eradicable foreign tattoo whose ink had leaked and mingled with their sweat to seep into the city of canals. The canal's stagnant waters could never wash out the colour we had brought into the city, which had made Britain great. This country and city had offered its crevices, its underbelly to us, and now had changed because of it, and the colour of those far-off homelands took root between the cracks where the unkept weeds and wild roses grow. Thank you so much. Happy South Asian Heritage Month. Thank you. Bye-bye.